Good afternoon, everyone. David Dubine here. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. World's oldest writing. Where was it discovered? Economic war. Who benefits? World hunger. Who benefits? Easy to scramble history. Glad we have records. Staying with bright colors. It's about the oceans now. Kosovo on the left. Kansas on the right. AI could remove humans, destroy the food source. And if that's happening, you want to regrow from scraps. Here's a nice list. Seems like somebody's pulling the tail of humanity to get this reset started. And what you're looking at here, the world's oldest known written language. Where do you think it was found? 3 stone tablets found in the vicinity of a Roman village of Tartaria, known as the Tartaria tablets, date back to the 3rd millennium BC. But of course, through radiocarbon dating, they find that it's much older. But they don't know how old. 7,500 years ago, long before the Sumerian script, which was previously thought to be the oldest in the world. We don't know much about that, do we? 7,500 years ago. It's a mystery. This area of the world steeped in history as well. You're going to see Kosovo and Serbia more in the news. So let's take a look at Kosovo. On the left, etched in stone. Whoever saw that in the skies left it for us as a warning if you see this again. And on the right, Kansas, June 15th, 2022. Almost looks like a double-headed eagle. These red sprites are getting much more intense as Earth's magnetic field weakens further. And what's so interesting about the caption on here, the photographer captured a rare overlay of multiple gigantic jets, meaning something strange electrical happening in our atmosphere to back up that our magnetic field is behaving strangely. So as we look at plasma petroglyphs and forgotten chapters of history 7,500 years ago that had a writing system, which means they had a complex society to even have a writing system, how quickly could history be skewed, rewritten, opaqued out? Colors of medieval paintings depicting knights versus colors in modern movies of all dull drabness. It is interesting, these paintings versus our movie reality, especially with the flags of coat of arms wafting through the air on horses marching toward each other. And you might say, well, I didn't know about that. And I'll say, I didn't know about this. All joggers must wear helmets. Fines apply. This is in Australia. No helmet, no run. Let's say for sake of argument that a tiger escaped out of a zoo somewhere and you were running for your life. Would that be an extenuating circumstance where I could have that fine removed from my record? Expunged? It was the tiger, dude. No running, no helmet. The hype about collagen is real. Over 1,100 people participated in a study that demonstrated collagen supplements are some of the best ways to improve the quality and health of your skin. The study found that taking collagen for 90 days is effective in reducing the appearance of skin aging. Collagen does this by improving skin elasticity and hydration. And it's also one of the most effective ways to strengthen joints, bones, and ligaments, along with helping hair and nail growth. 5 key types of collagen you need from 4 different sources. And you also get a free e-report titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin that help slow down the effects of aging. And take up to 51% off your order by going to health.adapt2030.com. Free shipping, 60-day money-back guarantee. That link's in the description box below. And now on with the video. And over these last years in the Adapt 2030 videos, dropping in on AI occasionally, and this is where we sit with the benchmark testing right now. Google Palm number 4 is exceeded now the human baseline. Now, this is the publicly released AI. I'm sure there's others out there. in the world that have not been released for any public numbers or comparisons that are far above this into the hundreds or multiple hundreds by now. But this video right here with Elon Musk explaining how AI might remove humans, definitely worth a watch on this one. It's right here in YouTube. Now AI could remove humans in many ways. Interestingly, destroying the food source. And we're seeing this happen across the planet. Manipulate humans, social media traffic and bots. There's a lot of things that add up here, and changing the magnetic field on the planet is not one of them. But if you could manipulate mechanics within that system, perhaps. A lot of things that seem to be overlapping in today's world with that. So keep in mind, destroying food sources, that means we need to start taking some of our own sovereignty back. 15 foods you can regrow from scraps. Now I know this won't keep you alive if you eat exclusively these items here, but sweet potato has been known as a famine food for umpteen thousands of years. Look at this list: green onions, kale, leeks, basil, garlic, potatoes, romaine lettuce, onions, ginger, mint, rosemary, cilantro, and celery. I've regrown a fair few of these myself. Pretty easy. Keep the bottom, put it in water for a couple days, replant. A nice view in China of the solar fields there, covering mountains to produce power. This is what is envisioned for the future instead of burning anything. But California went too big on the rooftop solar, and now they're trying to figure out where they want to go with this e-waste in the landfills. And we're thinking about cycles here too. The lifespan or the life cycle of these solar kits installed on California homes are coming to the end. So we do need to think about life cycle of product itself. So if it's 20 years, a lot of the incentives are coming up. Panels have run their course, the usefulness. The new panels are orders of magnitude far more efficient than something you bought 20 years ago. So think about implantable tech when they want to move over to a blend of whatever you could implant in your body to access phones, banking, internet, whatever it would be. Once that integrates in your neural network and your muscle tissue grows around that, there's no removing it. So think about 20-year-old tech for solar panels, 20-year-old tech for your computer. And then think about 20-year-old tech in your body. Can they even upgrade it at that point? Because looking at usefulness of cycles here, the economic war, we always hear about this, especially now with the embargoes and the sanctions across many countries in the world. But who benefits from that? And then how much time is left? Now, if we look back in history over the last, let's say 200 years, you're going to find an enormous amount of international conflicts. Looking at it from our lenses now back into the past, were engineered or designed. Now, who did that benefit? Well, generally power brokers and financial elite. As we move forward, we keep hearing about one global currency, central bank digital currencies, which are in flow, in play, testing, and almost into the introduction phase. But what would be a rational excuse to have that happen? There would have to be a massive collapse of the economy, then it would be ushered in. But again, you would ask yourself, was it engineered or was it organic? So who benefits from these things? And remember, this article was flowing around a few weeks or even a month ago about the United Nations talking about benefits of world hunger. Conclusions were, if hunger were to end and there wasn't that motivation to keep people working, if truly there was a distribution of wealth across the planet and those that live in developing nations had the same lifestyles as Americans, for example, they wouldn't be inclined to work, plow the fields, harvest the vegetables, do all of the things that keep society at its base level going for food production. So at the very conclusion, they're talking about elitists here, the very high end of the social ladder at the very last sentence. And it wraps up the article right there. For many of us, hunger is not a problem, but an asset. And then it swings back into, if you're making very little money, you're going to go out and work more all day long as hard as you can to get money. So if you don't have that drive, then the labor force dries up around the planet. So again, you start to ask yourself, who benefits from all of this? And on the same UN website, when you start looking at the different facets involved with cleaning up the environment, environmental pollution, super funds for chemical spills, oil spills, there's an enormous amount of data on how they would move through a crisis of environmental proportion. You know, like the Exxon Valdez would be a good example. What happens after that? Post cleanup, and who's responsible, and how does the wildlife recover, etc. But in here is a really interesting article, Collaboration and Capacity Building to End Illegal, Unreported, Unregulated Fishing. And then we start to see the same color schemes again, just like the nights. Everything's very colorful. And you'll start to see these colorful logos around. Now it's the oceans. But again, I'll come back to it. I am a huge fan of regulating fishing so we don't deplete completely our fisheries. And that would include ocean fisheries or river fisheries, trout fisheries, because here in East Tennessee, when you get up to the Cherahela National Forest, there's a trout breeding center far up in the mountain that they release every year. And there's regulated fishing. You need licenses because there would be zero, I mean, not even a crawdad left anywhere in these rivers if it was unregulated. It would be just water flowing with nothing in it. So on the conservation side, I totally 1,000% agree to have conservation as a pillar to keep fisheries and fish living in rivers so we can continue to use that resource. But what I'm not on board, again, it's such a razor thin edge. I've talked about this in other videos too, on environmental protection and chemical spill cleanups and everything. I'm totally on board with that. But to force it down and you rock over into somewhere like Ghana or Togo, Benin, or coastal Mauritania, fly in on your private jet and point fingers and go, no, you can't fish anymore. That's a problem because they rely on that for their family's income. You know, as a perspective outside, you look in and go, okay, they're catching too many fish, they're doing it illegally, and then you got a governance board here, and then they get the power to walk in and talk to an elected official and go, they can't fish anymore, and you're done, and point that finger. That's right. I say, whoa, that's got to hold on, because you're telling an entire sector of society that's been doing that for what, umpteen generations to now, no, you got to stop today. What are they going to do for an alternative? Nothing online, because the more remote you go, the more this is happening. So you got this careful balance here. I mean, you can't just upend the apple cart in a single minute there and then expect this to work. There has to be some rationale behind it going into these conservation phases, again, which I'm a fan of. But the way it's being implemented rapidly and without looking in the rearview mirror to see what destruction there would be if you do this course of action so quickly on demand, snap that finger and it's done. I don't know. We need to reassess a lot of things in the way the world's going to work together for conservation. And when I say that, it does seem that our tail of society is being pulled from behind and guided in a certain direction. And when you see that food is being knocked out at the knees of production globally, and we're coming into shortages, northern and southern hemispheres, you might want to think about storable foods to get you through this period here, in addition to growing your own foods. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030, take $150 off the 3-month emergency food supply. An emergency food supply is for emergencies. You should have your own stocks of food already, in addition to seeds, your gardens, and having that fresh produce as long as you can, as much as you can, and storing what you grow, in addition to having the emergency storable foods. It's not about just existing on it. It's there as an emergency backup if you've exhausted everything else and you still need to stay in your home because so much chaos is going on, or literally every supply chain is broken down until the chaos subsides and then things start to move again. And we're not talking days on this. We're talking months or years into this whole food debacle that's already begun. You can see it. It's going to continue to amplify. So I do thank you for watching the video. That link's in the description box below. Every time you purchase anything from My Patriot Supply, helps me have the time to do more research, present videos to you like this. So I'll see you next time, and make sure to share, subscribe, and like, so hopefully we can get the family and friends on board with the conversation. Bye for now.